tonight. Concerns over post-secondary layoffs at the legislature. The first day of testimony at the Dylan Whitehawk murder trial. Helping newcomers adjust to life in Saskatchewan.
Live from our studios in Regina, this is CTV News.
Good evening. With post-secondary institutions in Saskatchewan making staffing cuts due to Ottawa's cap on international students, the Saskatchewan NDP is demanding the province provide financial support. The provincial government did introduce a new multi-year funding agreement for institutions, but as Sierra D'Souza Butts tells us, the NDP feels it's not enough to prevent further layoffs.
In addition to laying off 123 staff last year and 28 more this year, Sask Polytechnic is suspending its health information management program.
This minister has already failed the staff of Sask Poly, and he has failed the students. He should not make it worse. Will the minister commit to no more layoffs at Sask Poly?
The NDP says the job cuts are due to the lack of international students enrolled, asking the government of Saskatchewan to support its post-secondary institutions and prevent further layoffs.
They are not going to take more students. They're only going to finish the students they already have. If you're not having more students, if the faculty is gone, you cannot continue the program.
The Minister of Advanced Education says the issue is not unique to the province since the federal government put a cap on the number of international students post-secondary institutions can bring in.
Tried to do in the House was put it in context of what's happening across the country. 17,000 layoffs in regional colleges and universities across the country because of the federal government decision to cap international students.
The government says it's committing $250 million to post-secondary institutions to cover the gap.
In Saskatchewan, we're going in the other direction. We have multi-year funding, an increase of 3% per year for our institutions for the next 4 years. That was announced in November, and it really set a precedent across the country.
Adding, the province plans to continue working with institutions to help strengthen their long-term financial sustainability, but at the end of the day, it's their decision on whether cuts are made. Sierra D'Souza Butts, CTV News, Regina.
Meanwhile, the government of Saskatchewan has announced that Ukrainian post-secondary students in the province will continue to receive tuition relief for the next 4 years. The extension allows those who arrived in the province under the Canada-Ukraine authorization for emergency travel to continue paying domestic tuition rates instead of international rates at post-secondary institutions in the province.
Honestly, it means a lot for me and the other students because we feel welcomed in this country, in this province. It's a big relief on finance for those families.
According to the government of Saskatchewan, more than 35 students have benefited from the Ukrainian tuition relief program since it launched in 2023. Well, libraries used to be a quiet place where you could rent, read a book, or various other media, borrow what you could. But in recent years, libraries have been a bit of a magnet for societal issues like drug addictions and homelessness. As Ali Mandrick tells us, the union representing workers is calling on the province for more funding and more support.
The union representing library staff across the province are raising concerns regarding safety in libraries.
Folks who are overdosing in their places of work. Many times our members do not feel safe going to and from their cars in the parking lot. There have been instances in the past where one of our members had to fight off an attempted abduction. An individual tried to put her in the trunk of his car.
Calling for an increase in funding to libraries in the upcoming provincial budget to help address safety issues and a long-term strategy to expand community supports. Peterson says many staff members are feeling overwhelmed, having to handle issues that are far outside of the job description.
They don't want to turn people in need away, but they are not addictions experts. They aren't security guards, and they aren't mental health counselors. They shouldn't be experiencing what they are dealing with on a daily basis.
Libraries receive funding through both the province and municipalities in Saskatchewan. In a statement to CTV News, the province said, quote, "To To address ongoing mental health and addictions challenges, the Ministry of Health is investing a record $624 million into mental health and addiction services across the province this fiscal year. Since 2007 and 2008, we've increased spending on addictions by over 272%. 2 complex needs facilities have been developed, one each in Regina and Saskatoon, with a third set to open in Prince Albert later this year. More than 4,800 clients have been admitted to the Regina and Saskatoon facilities, where they are connected to services that support longer-term recovery. The Saskatoon Public Library also told CTV, quote, "We have made a wide array of safety-related enhancements at our spaces in recent years that have had positive effects, and we are continually assessing how to keep our spaces as safe and welcoming." Peterson says the feeling of uncertainty among library staff continues to grow.
Those folks coming into the library because they have no other place to go. There aren't supports and services available for them. In other places outside of Saskatoon, we've had members lose fingers because of machete attacks, and the list goes on.
Hallie Mandrick, CTV News, Saskatoon.
As Scott Moe continues his trip to India, Saskatchewan is exploring the creation of a Canada-India Pulse Protein Centre. The Premier says it's an opportunity to bring Saskatchewan's knowledge on crops like lentils, chickpeas, peas, beans to India's agri-food sector. More than 80% of pulses exported from Canada to India come from Saskatchewan, feeding hundreds of millions of people every day. The centre will be developed by the University of Saskatchewan and the National Institute of Food Technology Entrepreneurship and Management in India. The retrial for Dylan Whitehawk, accused of 2 counts of first-degree murder, resumed today in a Regina courtroom. As Mick Favel tells us, a testimony centered around the death of Jordan Denton and the moments after.
It was the first full day of testimony in the retrial of Dylan Whitehawk, as witnesses described the early hours of November 9th, 2019, and the fatal shooting of Jordan Denton. Whitehawk is facing 2 first-degree murder charges in the deaths of Denton and Keenan Toto. The first to testify was a member of the Major Crimes Unit who, with video surveillance, was able to pinpoint Denton's movements 1 hour before his death. The video showed Denton walking alone at 2 o'clock on Saturday morning throughout the quiet neighborhood. 3 other witnesses described seeing him within an hour of his death, including the homeowner who discovered Denton in her backyard, who said she tried to revive him but was unable to do so. She testified she was walking home, heard a gunshot, and hid for a few minutes before arriving at home to find him. She said she knew of Denton and thought of him as being nice, as he once walked her child home through the neighborhood. A cousin of Denton also took the stand, saying he was just over at his home before the shooting and at the time was calm and not fearful of anything. A member of the RPS Forensic Identification Unit ended the day of testimony, explaining some of the findings from where Denton died, including the fatal shot in the back, which killed him. There are over 30 people listed to testify as the trial continues on Wednesday. Mick Favel, CTV News, Regina.
Sabine joins us now for our first look at weather. And where did we line up when it comes to, regular temperatures, the average temperature we see this time of year?
We're usually sitting at about -3 for a daytime high. And actually today in Regina, we got up to -4, but the wind chill is still playing a factor in how cold it really feels out there when we incorporate that. But yeah, average daytime high about -3, -4 today. Late this afternoon, we warmed up to just around that -4 mark. We will see that temperature dip as we head into tomorrow, and then I will be the bearer of bad news. There is more snow and freezing rain on the way for parts of southern and central Saskatchewan starting tomorrow night. We're still going to see those temperatures climbing above 0 as we head into the weekend, but there's also some strong wind gusts that are coming with that. It's just a mixed bag of things. If we take a look at what we saw today, there wasn't much in terms of active weather, but taking a look at our temperatures right now, especially the southwest, we're still seeing very warm temperatures. So something to keep in mind. We're going to continue to see warm temperatures, but there's still other winter conditions expected. I'll have details coming up. Lee?
Well, after hearing that, it might be no surprise that despite events in Mexico last week involving the drug cartel and the Mexican government, travelers in Saskatchewan are not changing their trips down south. CAA says there was a quick blip in bookings to Mexico lasting just a couple of days. The Government of Canada website still does have a travel advisory listing caution with below 0 temperatures at home. CAA says the draw of sun and sand still lingers, but there won't be any last-minute deals linked to last week's events.
We want to get out of 40 below to go to 25 to 35 above, right? I mean, we like the beach, we like the sand, we like the food, and we love the people.
CAA says global uncertainty is nothing new for the travel industry, from the pandemic to conflicts in the Middle East and the war between Ukraine and Russia. They went on to say bookings may dip briefly, but travelers tend to return quickly. A massive home and garage made the first leg of its nearly 200-kilometer journey today, stopping just south of Highway 1 east of Regina. Movers started the trip this morning near Lejourdre, crossing Highways 33 and 48. Along the route, crews did have to temporarily move power lines to allow it to cross. The convoy is expected to cross Highways 1 and 10 tomorrow. The highway hotline has an option to see where over-dimensional loads are hauling, including this one. Well, spectacular footage on social media of a semi-crash in Saskatoon that resulted in the vehicle being engulfed in flames. People getting to work before 7 a.m. saw the semi collide with a light standard on Circle Drive and come to a stop in the Center Meridian. Within minutes, flames began shooting out of the engine and eventually consuming the entire truck. The fire department says the driver got out safely and traffic was closed in both directions for multiple hours.
You know, you don't get too many chances to see a truck burn to the ground, but, you know, this morning a couple of our staff members were kind of going outside and checking it out as the fire got put out.
I've seen truck accidents before, but this was huge, man. Yeah, I can still see the diesel on the roads and stuff, and yeah, it's crazy, man.
Because of this, traffic was rerouted to Venture Crescent and Miller Avenue until the cleanup was finished. YWCA Regina has launched a digital violence prevention program. Upstander Online is a digital version of the YWCA's in-person training program that focuses on gender-based violence prevention and bystander intervention. This project is targeted at corporations, nonprofits, and smaller communities. The learning module is self-paced and will teach participants how to identify warning signs of gender-based violence and how to respond safely.
The problem becomes so compounded when you leave a city center, and so with the accessibility of online learning today, it felt like a no-brainer to say, let's make this accessible, let's build it through a Saskatchewan context so that it is a real applicable tool for everyone in this province.
By moving the training to an online platform, the YWCA hopes that this program will reach more northern and rural communities. Well, it can take some time to adjust after moving to a new city, but moving to a new country, that's a whole different story, especially if there's a language barrier. That's why the Regina Immigrant Women's Centre hosted an event at the Cornwall Centre, putting newcomers in touch with important resources. Damien Smith has more.
Instead of relying on technology, newcomers to Regina had a chance to meet face-to-face with over 20 organizations to help settle in their new country.
We just needed to make sure that we're able to support the people as best as possible, so bring all those services together, which would really help them, just as a one-stop shop.
Organized by the Regina Immigrant Women's Centre, it's their first time hosting this one-stop shop, which has been in the works for 4 years. It was a pleasant experience for Maya Dabo, who didn't see these services when she arrived in 2002 from Senegal.
A lot of the settlement needs weren't met, and a lot of the settlement needs were just done through people and volunteers. A well-settled agency that could really support people in many different areas wasn't really available at the time.
Language translation was also available, though only in Canada for a short time. Some are helping with interpretation in languages like Urdu and Arabic.
Some they are very confused, and it is really a problem for them because they cannot express what they want to tell. So if they find an interpreter, so it is a quite relief for them and they get happy.
Rooted Connections is also looking to help newcomers with settlement services such as language and housing.
A lot of our clients are not finding the right size of homes for them. They have bigger families. What's available is smaller units. Even the ones that can find houses, they're too expensive. They take up more than 50% of their budget.
After replacing longtime Executive Director Nilu Sachdev at the Regina Immigrant Women's Centre in December, Kalra hopes that this one-stop shop can become an annual event.
They need that support, you know. They're like isolated. There's barriers of language, transportation, you know, supports, just to feel at home.
Damien Smith, CTV News, Regina.
Greetings, everyone. Many indigenous tribes throughout North America have stories describing how the world came to be. These are known as creation stories. During the Kona Festival at Waniskewin Heritage Park, an art exhibit was unveiled exploring the indigenous worldview about how humans and the world were made. CTV's Hallie Mandrick tells us more.
A series of Cree creation stories are currently being showcased on the walls of Waniskewin's Olivia Gallery.
My inspiration kind of came to me as I started painting. The gallery is called From the Beginning, so it's kind of paying homage to the beginning of a new year, but also just realizing where I am with my full-time art and kind of taking the plunge and going for it.
From the Beginning features the work of Chris Japak, a Saskatchewan-born artist who is currently serving as an artist in residence at Waniskewin. Japak has previously worked on a number of projects, including designing the Indigenous logos for the Saskatchewan Rough Riders, the Saskatoon Blades, and Husky Athletics.
I kind of focused on my skill to storytell. I take a lot of pride in it, and I've gone through a lot of collaborations with companies and organizations, so to finally tell my own stories, it was nice.
While Chapak's artwork is the star of the show, a lot of behind-the-scenes work is also done to help his pieces shine.
So I will bring in audio people, I will bring in lighting people, I will get everything hung, I will situate everything in such a way that kind of just pops to the viewer. So Chris's job is to make fantastic artwork, and my job is to make sure that artwork looks fantastic on the walls.
Robitaille says the process of curating a gallery takes a lot of patience, but seeing the final result makes it well worthwhile.
Oh, you get goosebumps. There is an audio track that we're playing with it, and it sounds fantastic. There is an audio element, there is a visual element. You get goosebumps.
Japak says he's hopeful those who visit the gallery will leave with a similar feeling.
I kind of feel that people can take away the nature of this, that we're all connected, that we're not just standing on land, we're connected with the land.
From the Beginning will be on display at Waniskewin until May 17th for anyone passing through the visitor center to enjoy. For Indigenous Circle, I'm Hallie Mandrick.
If you have a story you would like to see in this segment, here's how to reach us. You can contact me by email, and you can also watch past episodes and segments of Indigenous Circle on our CTV Regina and CTV Saskatoon websites.
Indigenous Circle, brought to you in part by Saskatchewan Indigenous Enterprise Foundation, growing the First Nation entrepreneurial spirit.
Still ahead, attacks ramp up on day 4 of the conflict in the Middle East. And BC's chief coroner announces an inquest into the Tumble Ridge mass shootings. Strikes are escalating across the Middle East. Israel hitting an Iranian compound today where the regime was meeting to pick a new supreme leader. Israeli and American allies in the Gulf faced a barrage of retaliatory attacks from Iran, with American embassies in Saudi Arabia and Kuwait being hit. Adrian Gobriel has the latest.
As the sun sets on day 4 of this war, the scale and scope is painfully coming into focus. South of Tehran, Israel struck this compound today, belonging to the group responsible for electing Iran's next supreme leader. Throughout the night and into the day, Israeli forces have also been targeting Iranian-backed Hezbollah positions across Lebanon. The Red Crescent says that more than 780 have died in Iran since the fighting began on Saturday, with the single biggest loss of life taking place here at this girls' school. Neither Israel nor the U.S. have claimed responsibility, though nearby fresh grave sites have been dug to bury dozens of children. The president of the Red Crescent in Iran saying that more than 168 children, aged 7, 8, and 9, were martyred.
The fear, the panic, the anxiety experienced by millions of people in the Middle East and beyond is palpable and was entirely avoidable.
11 countries across the region have been on the receiving end of airstrikes fired by Iran since the fighting began. Following an Iranian attack in Saudi Arabia, the U.S. have shuttered embassies in Riyadh, Kuwait, and Beirut. With Tehran under a daily, deadly bombardment, thousands of Iranians are trying to flee to neighboring countries.
Turkey is home to more than 120,000 Iranians, with many residing right here in Istanbul's historic quarter. But foreign nationals we spoke with at cafes in this neighborhood declined to speak on camera, still fearful of the reach of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard and anti-Iranian sentiment here in this country. So celebrations in your house last night.
Halit Yenejeh's wife is Iranian. The couple have been waiting for the decimation of the Islamic regime.
Islamic regime for Persian people, we are happy, really happy.
Devil's times finish.
Halit, what is your hope for the future?
We want good election, good rules election, and secular system for Iran.
As the flames of war fan out of control any semblance of peace in the Middle East, at this hour remains a distant hope.
Tonight, U.S. Central Command said they've hit 1,700 targets since their joint operation with Israel began. With Iran hitting back, this entire region has been thrown into a state of chaos. Adrian Gobriel, CTV News, Istanbul.
BC's chief coroner announced an inquest into the mass shooting in Tumbler Ridge last month. He's seeking answers to prevent another tragedy and will examine access to mental health support and the role of artificial intelligence. Judy Trin has the details.
The BC coroner's inquest is aimed at answering how the Tumbler Ridge tragedy could have happened, beginning with access to mental health supports in rural communities,
including broader issues of community awareness, education and support, and matters relating to gender diversity where relevant to the evidence.
The shooter, Jessie Van Rutselaar, was transitioning. She killed her mother and a half-brother at home, then 6 more people at a school before taking her own life. The inquest will also examine the police response, why firearms were returned to the home even though Van Rutselaar had been previously apprehended under the Mental Health Act.
We will look at the weapons and how they were obtained.
The shooter's use of artificial intelligence will also be scrutinized. The developer of ChatGPT suspended Van Rutselaar's account for abuse, but OpenAI did not notify police until after the mass shooting. What do you have to say to the victims of Tumbler Ridge? Top safety officials provided insufficient information when they were summoned to Ottawa last week. Now the Minister of AI will seek answers from OpenAI CEO Sam Altman directly.
I want to know what changes they're going to make specifically to protect Canadians. My job, our government's job, is to make sure that Canadians are safe. These AI chatbots pose new challenges to us.
The minister will meet with OpenAI CEO on Wednesday. The government could end up regulating chatbots. As for the inquest, it won't take place until after the RCMP complete their investigation. Judy Trin, CTV News, Ottawa.
2 Canadian tourists were killed in a bus crash in the Dominican Republic, with local authorities saying the crash involved Sunwing vacation guests. It happened Sunday near the coastal community of Camayasa, which is roughly about an hour's drive from Punta Cana. The bus, operated by Nexus Tours, was carrying guests to their hotels. In addition to the 2 people killed, 19 others were injured. And on day 2 of Pierre Poilievre's European tour, he delivered a speech in London where he proposed a new trade partnership to strengthen ties.
When the treaties and agreements that allow us to trade freely face upheaval, we need to double down and deepen our ties with our oldest and most trusted friends. Instead of shrinking markets behind tariffs, we should expand opportunities among friends. That is why I believe the time has come for a partnership between Canada, the United Kingdom, and Australia, and New Zealand, a modern CANZUK. There goes greatness.
Poilievre spoke of removing trade barriers to benefit both countries. The opposition leader heads to Berlin tomorrow, where he will deliver a keynote speech on a transatlantic relationship. Coming up, how university students are looking at ways for drones to fight fires in urban centers.
Welcome back. A beautiful shot through our sky cam that we're looking outside in Regina. Currently sitting at -4, wind chill of -11. -4 was the warmest we got today. And again, speaking with Lee earlier, the average daytime high is about -3, -4. So not too bad. Did feel a little cooler with the wind chill values. Heading into tomorrow, we will see that daytime high drop by a few degrees. But we do have some very warm temperatures on the way. But there is a lot of other things that are on the way, and that starts tomorrow night with some mixed precipitation. So again, when we take a look at what we saw over the last couple of hours, not a whole lot other than mostly cloudy conditions. We do see this band of snow that came through parts of central Saskatchewan, central and northern Saskatchewan bringing some light flurries. And we do have those extreme cold warnings still issued for parts of northern Saskatchewan, where they are expecting to see wind chill values anywhere from -45 to -50. That does look like it's expected to ease heading into possibly tomorrow and even into Thursday morning. We're not looking at extreme cold temperatures. Like I said, we're going to see those temperatures start to bump up above zero, but we do have high winds expected, and we also have some mixed precipitation expected as well. Now, heading into this evening, you can see most of southern Saskatchewan expecting clear conditions, at least for the evening before more of that cloud cover rolls through. We'll start to see that snow coming through parts of Lloydminster and Prince Albert. And then heading into tomorrow, another cloudy day to start your day, and it's not until we get into the evening that we see that mixed precipitation. We've got rain around Maple Creek, Swift Current, Regina expecting to see freezing rain along with the Moose Jaw area, and then we're also seeing some snow. Eventually, the system that's bringing that freezing rain does turn to snow, and we'll continue to see mostly right around that Moose Jaw, Regina area, even down into Assiniboia, expecting to continue to see some of that snow throughout the overnight of Wednesday night into Thursday morning, and that's going to stick around until we get into late afternoon before it all clears out. So it looks like it could be a big system coming through, but it's actually not leaving as much in terms of accumulations for southern Saskatchewan. A little more to the south of us, Saskatoon, Wynyard, Hudson Bay could see a little bit more of that, and I will show you what we're expecting when it comes to snowfall totals right now. So between now and to tomorrow morning, again, you can see just that band where that snow is coming through Prince Albert and Hudson Bay up to 5 centimeters. 2 for Meadow Lake and Lloydminster. And then as we get into Wednesday night into Thursday morning, we'll see more of that precipitation covering more of the province. 4 centimeters for Moose Jaw, just 1 centimeter for Regina, 3 for Yorkton, Saskatoon up to 5 centimeters. And that system expecting to stick around until we get into Friday morning. Trace amounts expected for the Weyburn and Assiniboia area. And by Friday morning, up to 5 centimeters for Moose Jaw, 2 for Regina, 6 for Saskatoon. And then we will see some warm temperatures arrive by the time we get into the weekend, so hopefully it'll help melt some of that snow that arrives tomorrow night. Temperatures much colder in the north tonight, -28 for La Loche and La Ronge, warming to -19 for La Ronge tomorrow, -17 tomorrow and cloudy for Prince Albert, -15 for Lloydminster, -11 and cloudy for Saskatoon, and North Battleford, Yorkton both expecting -14 as a daytime high. Above zero for Swift Current, for Maple Creek tomorrow, +4, -1 for Swift Current, -7 and cloudy for Moose Jaw. Southeast, similar around seasonal range, -3 for Assiniboia, -6 for Weyburn, -5 for Estevan, and tonight for Regina, dipping to -8, warming to -7 with cloudy conditions. And here's a look at your next 7 days. -7, mostly cloudy tomorrow. More sunshine expected by Thursday. -6 is the expected daytime high. And then we see the warm-up happen. Friday, -1 with a mix of sun and cloud. Saturday, warming up to +7, mostly cloudy, but then we have these high wind gusts that are expecting to affect most of southern Saskatchewan. Winds up to 55 kilometers an hour. Sunday, warming to 6 degrees. Winds up to 65. By Monday, we can expect to see some snow coming through. The wind's still high up to 60 with a daytime high of 0, and by Tuesday, -6. So I would not be surprised if we see any type of wind warnings coming through for the weekend. So it's really windy, but also really nice temperatures.
Really nice temperatures. And no Pats logo, which is a good thing.
See?
Although they do
I'm
play
slowly waking up. What's that?
They do play tonight at home.
Thank you for telling me that.
All right, we've seen drones in almost every single industry, from agriculture to the media. But what about firefighting? As Spencer Turcott tells us, students from across the country are competing to show how drones can help battle blazes in urban settings.
A drone powers up and its creators clear the way.
Area clear, wind weather okay.
Within seconds, liftoff. But who are the people behind this high-tech device?
We are Waterloo Aerial Robotics Group, or WARG for short.
Every year, they compete in the Aerial Evolution Association of Canada's student competition. In May, they'll go up against 20 other Canadian post-secondary schools in Ottawa. So what's this year's challenge?
This year, they are shifting the theme to urban firefighting. This year's tasks are identifying targets all around a building, moving equipment from one location to another location, and extinguishing these targets using water.
The team, made up of mostly engineering students, was in charge of building it from scratch, and they'll be responsible for navigating it using open source software.
Allows us to see a lot of statistics from the drones and information. We need to be able to show the judges that we can identify and extinguish fire targets. It'll be identified by colored pieces of paper.
Despite their advanced knowledge and skills, don't forget, they're still students and have done all of this amid their studies.
We're still doing our classes, and we also have the privilege of being in Waterloo's co-op system. So we have a lot of people coming in and out.
Another thing working against them has been this winter's weather.
We really prefer not to fly in any inclement weather.
So they're taking advantage of a rare sunny day with no heavy snow falling. With a couple of months left to fine-tune the drone until it is put to the test, they do have winning on their mind. But more importantly, they're excited to think about how their flying robot could help save lives. Spencer Turcotte, CTV News, Waterloo.
Coming up, a local basketball official is hoping to set a Guinness Book of World Record. Winners of 7 of their last 9 Regina Pats find themselves in a playoff spot in the WHL right now, sitting 7th in the Eastern Conference. Tonight, a possible first-round preview as they host the Medicinet Tigers at the Brandt Center.
Bounces across the line, drop pass, Moore shoots, score!
Well, the teams haven't played each other since November, with the Tigers winning both games this season. Tigers, in fact, haven't lost in regulation in their last 10 games. Pats, meanwhile, forwards Keats Fawcett and Caden Brown looking to hit the 30-goal mark. Could be tonight. That'd be a first for both. Game time 7 o'clock. Also tonight, Moose Jaw entertains Calgary at the Temple Gardens Centre. Meanwhile, at the Montana's Brier in St. John's, Ben Hebert and Team Canada are one of 4 teams that are still undefeated.
Make sure. Stop it. Good, Brad. Good, Brad. 2 yellow.
Good, guys. Good, you bet.
Canada scores 2 and 8 to take a 3-point lead and go on to the 8-4 win. They're tied at the top of Pool A right now with Brad Gushue. Regina's Kelly Knapp is 2 and 3, likely needs to win out to make the playoffs. As for Saskatchewan's Mike McEwen, the Nutana rink won their game this morning 10-4 over New Brunswick, improving to 4-1. They sit in 3rd place in Pool B behind undefeated Kevin Cooey and Matt Dunstone, who are on the ice playing each other right now. McEwen, by the way, is playing winless BC. A local basketball official is attempting to write his name in the history books, not because of the game he's working, but because of his age. Donovan Mace has a story of a man trying to set the world record of oldest active official.
In this Regina gym, an elementary girls basketball game has become one part of a potential Guinness World Record, but not due to the performance of any player. Aptly known as Big Mike, Michael Martirana runs up and down the floor at the spry age of 80. As he attempts to be the oldest active basketball official in the world.
I love basketball, and that's what it is.
Growing up on the streets of the Bronx, New York, basketball has been in Martirana's life for more than 7 decades.
We played almost every day.
He continued to hoop well into his 50s.
That's a good call. You're making it
foul in number 11.
As a former teacher and high school coach, he didn't start his career as a referee until almost his 60s.
I never liked referees at all. I didn't like them. I thought they were unfair, unjust, didn't know what they were doing. But when I became one, I became more appreciative of the job that they do.
Attempting the world record, his daughter's idea.
And she said, "Dad, how are your knees?" I said, "They're okay. I've had 2 knee surgeries, replacements, right? And your legs?" I go, "Yeah, still fairly strong."
To earn the title, he has had to confirm his age with Guinness and provide proof he is working official games through game sheets and video.
The last requirement they said to me was, "We want you to do 1 game a month with the basketball for the entire basketball season. That's all, 1 game a month." Easy peasy, I can do that.
The job is a labor of love for the veteran official. He's quick to offer advice and encouragement in game to the young players.
If there was, 3 seconds in the key, he tells them what they did, and he takes the time to help the kids learn and grow.
Those are fouls?
These are fouls. No. These are fouls.
And now finds the most joy in mentoring younger referees like JL.
I don't think anyone would be able to beat his record for a long time, so I think he's a one-of-a-kind kind of ref.
Passing along his decades of knowledge to the next generation.
This helps somebody. This helps people, kids, especially the kids. I really care about them becoming better.
And 1 month out from his 81st birthday, Martirana has no plans to hang up the whistle anytime soon.
And someone said to me, well, if you get the Guinness Book of World Records and next year you come back and you do it, you can break your own record. I never thought about that. I didn't think about it in those terms. I said, well, I'll just keep doing it as long as I can do it.
Donovan Mace, CTV News, Regina.
And we are officially 100 days away from the FIFA World Cup. Preparations continuing in Toronto and Vancouver. Organizers in both those Canadian host cities say they are finalizing preparations for the event. Toronto will host 6 games, starting with Canada's first match on June the 12th. Vancouver will host 7 beginning on June the 13th. Work on hosting the World Cup has been underway for years, with various levels of government contributing millions of dollars to the cause, and we still have 6 spots to fill. Team is going to be playing off in March to figure out who will get those spots. Still ahead, why Alberta wants to increase the availability of nicotine pouches.
Welcome back. Let's check out your rural forecast for tomorrow. Cloudy pretty much right across the province tomorrow. Temperatures still cooler than seasonal, especially in parts of central Saskatchewan. We'll see some of these temperatures a little warmer, closer to seasonal for Kindersley -8, but Meadow Lake, Lloydminster -15, -17 for Spiritwood, Melfort and Hudson Bay, -11 for Watrous and Wynyard, -14. Everywhere is cloudy. We get into the southern part of the province. A little bit of sunshine expected down in East End Cypress. Mostly cloudy, +5, +4 and cloudy for Maple Creek, -4 and cloudy for Leader, 0 for Rockland, mostly cloudy there, and then cloudy conditions over in the southeast, -9 Carlisle, -12 Broadview, -15 for Kenora, Lumsden and Pilot Butte, -7, mostly cloudy. And if we take a closer look at Central Butte tomorrow, cloudy conditions, -4 is the expected daytime high, winds up to 35 kilometers an hour, -4, but with the wind chill closer to about -11, and then as we head into the evening, expect the freezing rain to arrive. Could see snow up to about 1 to 3 centimeters in the overnight.
Alberta is pushing Ottawa to make nicotine pouches easier to buy. Now, currently, the items are only available over the counter at pharmacies. The Alberta government wants to put them back in convenience stores, but anti-smoking advocates say online access for teens is the bigger issue. Jeremy Thompson has more.
Mint, this is peppermint, and this is spearmint.
Among the cold meds and vitamins, pharmacies like this one also have nicotine pouches for sale over the counter.
People use it when they want to quit smoking or reduce smoking.
Pharmacist Payal Patel added Zonic to her quit smoking section in 2024 after the federal health minister made it illegal to sell the pouches at convenience stores or anywhere other than a pharmacy. The move was meant to keep the addictive nicotine products away from kids, and Patel can see why.
Teenagers coming in asking for Zonic, and they were like, oh, we were able to get it from the convenience store. Why I can't get it here? And they're not even smoking, but they're using Zonic just to get the buzz.
Now the province is pushing back. In a letter to the Prime Minister, Service Alberta Minister Dale Nally says cigarettes shouldn't be easier to buy than a product that helps you quit.
Albertans are saying that, look, they want access to these products and shouldn't have to go see their pharmacist for it.
Nally argues the restriction pushes people to illegal and unregulated online markets. A quick Google search reveals multiple sites willing to deliver American nicotine pouches to Canadian addresses. While Health Canada permits 4 milligrams of nicotine per pouch, many products online offer 15 milligrams.
Well, the age verification is on the honor system, and the product that they're buying, there's no oversight on this. So it may say 15 milligrams, but how do you know it's not 30?
The minister says there are major fines for selling tobacco products to minors, which would apply to nicotine pouches too. One anti-smoking advocate believes loosening regulations would lead to unacceptable consequences.
The bigger problem is these products, these pouches are
from the tobacco companies themselves. The tobacco companies want to sell these products. The tobacco companies don't care if kids get caught in the crossfire, and we've seen that over the years.
Minister Nally says government bureaucrats have been discussing the change with their federal counterparts, but the letter is the first political pressure Alberta is applying. Jeremy Thompson, CTV News, Edmonton.
A lot of Z products when it comes to pouches. Sonic, Zolt, Zinn, canola. No Z's there. Street price is up $1.20 to $646, 53 cents per ton. Futures price is a big jump, $10.30, past the 700 mark to $706.60 per ton. Amber durum wheat stays the same, $278.59 per ton. Red spring wheat dropped $1.34 to $268.62 per ton. Feed barley is $232.01 per ton, and flax is $650.54 per ton. That price is courtesy of Bunge. As for the markets, both on the way down. The TSX dropped by 756 points, the Dow Jones by 403. The Canadian dollar, suffered a similar fate, but slightly, to hundredths of a cent to 73.15 cents U.S. Commodity front, gold down 27 cents. West Texas Intermediate crude up $3.33. Western Canadian Select crude up $4.79 because of what we're seeing right now, the conflict in the Middle East. And gas right now is not moving yet, but you never know, could be moving up again. Currently $1.36.9 per liter.
Those concerns sent the TSX tumbling this morning, at one point down about 1,400 points. Gold and silver stocks sold off, dragging the TSX down, but the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ were also in the red. The TSX did recover later in the day. Oil continued to gain since the attacks on Iran have paralyzed the movement of oil in the Middle East. The war is also pushing airline stocks down. Carriers are avoiding Iranian airspace, and airports at major international hubs like Dubai have been closed since the weekend. Shares of Air Canada have fallen over 10% in the last 3 days. The Vancouver real estate market is still struggling. February sales were down almost 10% from the same month in 2025. The composite benchmark price dropped as well by almost 7%, but is still holding above $1 million. Those are your business headlines. I'm Morella Fernandez.
And coming up tonight after the newscast, Will Trent, followed by High Potential at 8 o'clock, R.J. Decker.
What's that?
I think it's about how they changed Black & Decker to a different model. I don't know. We'll find out. Report back to me at 9 o'clock.
I almost believed.
Best medicine at 10. R.J. Decker, I'm going to watch it at 9 for you all. All right, now for time where I usually say something awkward, but we're going to change things up. We're going to give you adorable animals. So, a sweet new treat has arrived to the Arizona Zoo.
She's true to her name. She does look like a little jelly bean, and Jelly Bean is so much fun to watch. She'll still get her little zoomies just like, you know, our dogs at home.
Baby pygmy hippo Jelly Bean was welcomed to the world. She got her name in a public contest with candy-themed naming options to match her mother, Lollipop, and her dad, Tootsie Roll.
Look at her go.
Okay, that's kind of cute.
And we're not done.
No, we're going to keep talking about cute animals. The world's most viral monkey is leading to a surge in sales of a very specific item.
Probably heard of Punch, a 6-month-old monkey abandoned by his mother at birth. Instead, Punch became very attached to a plushy orangutan. Now that plushie is flying off shelves at IKEA, struggling to keep it in stock. The company even launched a marketing campaign with the slogan, "Sometimes family is who we find along the way." And in Malaysia, by the way, it's donating a portion of sales to orangutan conservation. So there you go.
All for good cause.
Did you ever have like a stuffed animal or a stuffy that you really enjoyed as a kid?
It was a teddy bear that used to be my brother's, and then it was handed down to me.
Oh, okay.
Don't ask me where it is, because my brother then proceeded to throw a box of all my old stuffed animals out.